Live from the Hey Did You Ever See That Movie studios in downtown Boston, it's showtime. Welcome to Hey, Did You Ever See That Movie? I'm your hostess, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely little co-host, Lynn.
Have another cherry.
And joining us again, the podcaster with 1,000 potions, Mikki.
I hope his dick is bigger than his IQ.
And last but not least, the podcaster packing heat, Tony 2.0.
Hello, everyone. Not doing a movie line. Sorry, just hello, everyone.
So deflated. This week, we will be discussing the 1987 comedy horror movie, The Witches of Eastwick, written by John Updike and Michael Christopher. Directed by George Miller, starring Jack Nicholson, Cher, Susan Sarandon, and Michelle Pfeiffer. As always, this podcast will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it, then come back and listen to the podcast. Let's run that trailer.
In the quiet town of Eastwick, where nothing ever changes, three beautiful women are about to discover powers they never dreamed they had.
Who should we be looking for? He should be really handsome.
Nice eyes.
Now, the man of their dreams is here.
Jane, at last we meet.
To stay for a spell.
Who are you?
Just your average, horny little devil.
With the Witches of Eastwick.
We could do things you haven't any idea.
You know what's going on up in that house?
She says she sees the devil here in Eastwick.
If you were the devil, would you come to Eastwick?
Oh, I don't know.
Are you going to seduce me too?
Women, a mistake? Or did he do it to us on purpose?
Jack Nicholson, Cher, Susan Sarandon, Michelle Pfeiffer. The Witches of Eastwick.
Hocus pocus.
All right, please take a minute to like, subscribe, and share. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a like, give us a subscription, give it a share, give it a comment. It helps the algorithm push the podcast out to people. If you're listening on Apple, please leave a 5-star review. It helps. And if you're listening on Spotify, subscribe and comment. If you guys want to help us out, head over to the merch store. If you guys want to help us out, head over to the merch store at vvr.printify, printify.me. You can pick up your coffee mug, you can pick up your shirt, and you can pick up swag from our sister podcast, Violent Vinyl Radio. Let's head over to the mailbag. So we got some mail from Radio Universal. He writes in, okay, you effectively have ruined my plans for camping this summer. The episode was epic. You guys hit another home run. I think this movie is the sole reason I never close my eyes when having sex, and the reason I still sleep with the lights on. Messed up, huh? Love you guys, and hey, did you ever see that movie? Radio, thanks for writing in. And if you do book a vacation this year, do not go to Camp Crystal Lake. Dylan, what do you got?
Randy the Slayer commented on our YouTube episode of Friday the 13th, part 1. I don't think the studio expected it to make $60 million, but they dumped millions into marketing and promo. They definitely expected it to be a big hit. So I did not know that. So that's we were talking about how it only cost them about $500,000 to make and then made $60 million. So they obviously put a little extra on the back end there for promo.
Yeah, and $60 million, man, back in 1983 or whatever that was. I mean,
yeah,
Jesus,
1981.
That's fucking like Star Wars money for Friday the 13th on a $500,000 budget. It's insanity. Insanity. We also got another email, and that was from me, where I wrote in great show to help push the algorithm. Okay.
Never mind the bullocks.
Yeah. All right.
At least you're honest about it, bro.
Next show, we will be breaking down Friday the 13th, Part 2. That's right, Part 2 with Tony. Tony and I were discussing it. We are going to, like, Friday the 13th did great. We got a fucking zillion views on that episode. So we said, why don't we do Part 2? And if it does well, we'll do Part 3. If it does well, we'll do Part 4. If it does well, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh, boy.
Jason's in space. I mean, fuck.
Jason versus Freddy.
Jason's in New York. Jason breakdances. Fucking, we may break it all down. Who knows? Who knows? We're going to start with, we're going to take it one stabbing at a time, and we're going to go for Part 2 next. No masks. Still no mask. I've never seen this one, but from what I understand, still no mask. So we'll see what happens. This movie, with a budget of $22 million and a box office gross of $63.8 million, this movie was considered a success by the studio. From what I understand, a lot of that budget went into shooting in this little town here in Massachusetts.
Just a quick side note, Des, if I can. They actually did a short film about the effect that it had on the town they shot it in because of the economic kind of boon and the fact that they had celebrities in the town for quite a while, although they did use a couple of very cute little kind of quaint New England areas. And I apologize. I had the name of the short on the tip of my tongue, and now that I'm thinking about it, it's escaped me, but let me get back to you and I'll get you going. I watched it a few years ago and it was rather entertaining. It's quite good.
All right. Cool. Good stuff. Let's do some opening thoughts on this one. So I know of this movie, but I've never seen it. I had it mixed up with like 3 other movies. I thought maybe I had seen it, but no, I hit play. Absolutely never seen this one before. Question is, was it any good? Delynn, had you ever seen The Witches of Eastwick before preparing for this podcast?
Before I answer that question, I'll say, yeah. So Des says to me, I thought it was going to be like this, and I thought this was going to happen. So he had mixed up Hocus Pocus, Death Becomes Her, and The Witches of Eastwick. So he kept waiting for things to happen that were never going to happen because he had never seen the movie. So I thought that was funny. Yes, I had seen Witches of Eastwick. Witches of Eastwick, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, was one of those movies that was formative in my younger years. There was a couple of them. Among them, Rocky Horror, Grease 2, and Witches of Eastwick, Interview with a Vampire. So you see where I'm coming from on all of those. And that it became the formative years of my creativity. So yeah, I've seen this one before, and it's a cornerstone for me, which is why I recommended it.
Tony, how many times you see Witches of Eastwick?
That's a good question. You know what? I can't tell you. I had probably been exposed to it several times, but it's one of those films for me where you see part of it. You don't really sit down and watch the whole thing just because, it's in my kind of wheelhouse of came out in 87. I was doing a lot of things, watching a lot of movies at that point, but not really super hot on the genre of films that I was a fan of. So familiar with it, like the cast, but not probably my cup of tea, if you will. So it's not like I'm going to sit down, throw that in and, watch it start to finish.
So as the story unfolded, there were some surprises for you. You didn't know right where this thing was landing.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. And Mikki?
Yes, I've actually seen this movie countless times, and I literally said to my husband before we sat down, I said, I'm going to apologize in advance, and I'm going to try not to recite the entire movie as it's happening.
But she did. She did it. I had to tell her, shut up. I don't want to hear the lyrics from you. I want to hear it from the artist.
So yes.
All right, let me give you guys a little synopsis on this one. 3 single women in their picturesque village have their wishes granted at a cost when a mysterious and flamboyant man arrives in their lives. There you go. There's your synopsis.
Very detailed.
Short, sweet, and to the point. I like it.
That's right.
Alexandra Medford, Jane Spofford, and Suki Ridgman are 3 dissatisfied women living in the small town of Eastwick, Rhode Island. Alexandra is a sculptress and a single mother. Jane is a newly divorced music teacher incapable of having children. And Suki is an extremely fertile woman with 6 children who also works as a journalist at the Eastwick Word. Besides an everlasting friendship, these 3 women share similar misfortunes of being abandoned by their husbands. Our movie starts with introductions to each woman. They're all in attendance of the community gathering where the local school band, directed by Jane, plays before the local blowhard gets up to the podium to proselytize. He drones on and on as each woman appears to be bored and looking to the sky. The clouds gather, the wind rises, and suddenly the skies open in a downpour. Later that night, the women gather to drink and play cards. Suki mentions how odd it was that they were all trying to think of a way to end the gathering that day when it started to rain, but the other girls blow it off as coincidence. Over martinis, they discuss what kind of man they wish would show up in their lives. So this movie was largely filmed in Cohasset, Massachusetts. The town square where the church is, it's still there to this day. A lot of the buildings are still there because they were the original buildings that were already there. Cohasset was thrilled to have the Hollywood production in town, and many townspeople ended up as extras. They also filmed some scenes at Milton Academy in Milton, Mass., which is my hometown and a 5-minute walk from my childhood home. We did try to drive by and take a look when they were filming, but as you can imagine, it was hard to get too close. And my cousin Chip is in the gathering at the start of the movie, which was at Milton Academy outside. He had been brought in because he played the flute in the Collycott School Band, and they were going to use him as one of the band children, but they didn't need him, so they stuck him into the crowd, and he still got paid as if he was in the movie. So good for him.
That's awesome.
So like you said, we're going to open this movie with this really nice long shot of this beautiful small New England town. And like you said, this is Cohasset, Mass. And funny, my mother actually lived there for years. So I'm very familiar with some of these locations. Very nostalgic seeing this. I said to Delyn, I know this place. She goes, yeah, it's Cohasset. I was like, oh, shit. Next, we're going to meet our witches. We're going to meet the 3 witches. And I said this to Delyn. I like that we don't spend too much time here with each individual woman. We get a broad stroke that gives us the basic situations of each one. And that's all we needed. Like, the director was very quick to get these 3 women together. And that is where the magic of this movie lies. I didn't need to see Suki getting her kids ready and showers and picking clothes up off the floor. And like, I didn't need Mr. Mom. I got exactly what I needed. I understand what's going on in each one of these women's lives individually. And a lot of these other characters, they're just not relevant to the story. So it's fine. It was brilliant. Next we get Jane. She's doing a class, teaching some children some music. And this guy, Walter, comes in and he sleazily rubs her ass in front of a room of children. This guy's a fucking sicko. Like, what if she reciprocated? Was he just gonna throw her up on the fucking band table and do her in front of the kids? And then Walter doubles down on being a creep by sleazily winking at her just before giving this speech on ethics and God. It's he's just such a fucking slime ball. And I did feel like there was a missed opportunity for him to be turned into Chet from fucking Weird Science at some point, but it was fine. Then we get the scene where Jane is wishing for rain and it rains. And I have to ask myself, did Jane bring the rain? Sounds like a country song.
And then it rained.
I know, it's fun.
I want to know.
It's a fun question to ask. And then when they're having this little cocktail party, Jane says, I was wishing for rain at that moment. And we get this very dramatic shot where the camera closes in on Suki and it kind of moves in on her. And she says, isn't it strange we were all thinking the same thing and it rained? And then Alex kind of dismisses her. And it's it's nothing. So this leads me to believe that they do not know that they're witches or have any power at this moment. And honestly, throughout this movie, it's never really discussed. There's going to be a scene later where they're going to do a spell. And there's really been no discussion of them being witches. So sure, we get a little exposition talking about how, the house, had witches in it back in the day and all that. But these 3 women are never actually presented as witches in this movie at any time. So I thought that was very interesting. So finally, during this little cocktail session with the 3 ladies, we learned that Walter is one step away from being the town rapist. This guy is a total creep. He's making moves on everybody in town. He's married. He's crossing the line. These aren't just verbal fucking advances. He's assaulting women. Simple as that. And, he's 2 drinks and 1 bad decision away from raping somebody. This guy's a total scumbag. We're also going to learn that our 3 ladies here are either divorced or widowed. and they're desperate to find a good man. Like, this is what they do. They get together every week, they drink cocktails, and they talk about, this fantasy man that they would like to meet. Then, like in Weird Science, when Gary and Wyatt create the perfect woman, our three witches create the perfect man over martinis. So yeah, I saw a little parallel right there. All they were missing was bras on their heads. Mikki, what do you got on these opening scenes?
I love these scenes, and I think you're right. They didn't spend too much time kind of giving you too many unnecessary details of each woman. You kind of pick it up as you go in their little nuances and the things that they talk about. Agree with Dylan totally. This is one of those movies that was very kind of formative for me. Like, it was, there's certain movies that you have in your life that are just like core movies, and this is one of them. Walter is a sleazeball. He's a total slimeball. I have known a lot of Walters in my lifetime, as I'm sure Dylan has as well.
Mhm.
And there's a guy like this in every town. And I love the irony of him doing that and then going and speaking about God and all this other stuff and how, things should be
Morality.
Yeah. And one thing I will say to Des's point, these women, they don't know they're witches.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I think as the movie goes along, you see that their relationship with this man kind of awakens this in them. Like, I don't think before he came along, they had any idea how to tap into their power. They didn't know.
Mikki, I was saying to Dylan at one point, I think it would have been cool, and it might have been over the top, but I mean, it is called the Witches of Eastwick. I think it would have been cool that if like Alex had owned like the local special oils, tarot cards, stuff like that. Like, she didn't have to actually be a witch, but it would have been fun if one of them had owned like the local store that was kind of
like the local metaphysical shop.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And then it would have made like, later in the movie when they're busting out these spells and stuff, I would have been like, well, she was exposed to this kind of stuff and kind of knew her way around, even if she wasn't a witch.
Yeah, I like that. I like that she was a sculptress, and he, like, when he eventually says to her, like, you can feel the potency in your hands, like you. Yeah. He's basically telling her, you have no idea what kind of power you have inside you.
Right. I think that goes for all human beings. I don't think any of us really know what we're capable of and the potential that we possess. One thing that you said that really struck true with me is the exposition in this movie. We get little tiny information dumps everywhere that keep us like completely on track with what's going on in the story. Very easy to understand. They don't feel like they're, dumped in our face. It's just really, really good writing. And yeah, it just, it keeps this thing moving along, the pacing going very, very well. And you always know right where you are in the movie.
Yes.
I agree with you guys. I think it's well shot, super great backdrop. Beautiful little town, and the home there, they call it the Lennox Mansion, but what a great spot. You can't beat that. The book that Updike writes, Witches of Eastwick, is actually set in the late 1960s. So we're kind of going back 20 years from the film. And so you get some kind of translational issues because it was a different time then in America, you know what I mean? And he does not point out the fact that they are Wiccan or witches. They just kind of have magic powers. You know what I mean? He doesn't explain, and maybe for good reason, because some people are in tune with that and some people are not. And I think it would have turned off audiences if they were, anything from the bad stereotypes of sitting around a hot cauldron, throwing things in it, or, wearing funny costumes, or whatever stereotypes you want to give to people who practice this. I think it's better done the way it was, because it's the idea of female empowerment. It's the idea of an ability internally in these three women. And maybe because of what they've endured that they have this, right? They've all faced a lot of adversity. One's lost a loved one. One has 6 kids, and to do that by yourself has got to be Herculean. And the other one is frustrated because she is supposedly infertile, and it kind of ruins her marriage, or at least that's what we're led to believe. But three incredible actresses who do a great job of both concealing and then letting out what they have skills wise. So I really enjoyed it. This to me is the best part of the film, learning about these people and what they do.
Should have called it the Bitches of Eastwick, right? These three bad bitches that fucking take care of the devil.
Yeah, but in the early part of the film, they're so not that, right? They're basically straight-laced.
Yes.
Just go along, get along types. They want to do what people want to do. They want to succeed in their career, their job and whatever, and they want to do it to the best of their ability. And then until they realize where their power's at, then they can get a little badass. You know what I mean? Then they can let their hair down and really enjoy it.
Yeah, I had no qualms with the decisions made by the writer in this movie. I really thought everything just worked really, really well. But, it's fun to just point out little things that you would do, so.
After the nights of drinks and wishes, a mysterious man appears and immediately stirs up trouble by buying the city's landmark property, the Lennox Mansion. The arrival of this enigmatic stranger causes fascination among the townsfolk, all except the local townswoman Felicia Alden, the Christian wife of newspaper editor Clyde Alden. Although Felicia is not a witch, she's somehow able to sense that this man, whose name everyone seems to forget, is up to no good. One night at Jane's music recital, the man appears and makes a spectacle of himself, which leads to more gossip. After the recital, Jane receives flowers and a personal note from the man signed with the initial D. This then sparks Suki's memory, finally revealing that the man's name is Darrell Van Horn. At the very moment of Suki remembering his name, her beaded necklace inexplicably breaks and falls to the floor, causing Felicia, who had mocked Darrell's name, to trip down a large staircase, breaking her leg. As a person that's fallen and broken their leg, this gave me mild PTSD, especially seeing the leg turn the wrong way. I had kind of forgotten that happened. Anyways, this actress does an amazing job of playing the hysterical woman, right? She did it in Alien. So she does it here. She does it in Alien. Of course, she's not in the thick of it just yet, but it's coming. Most of the exterior shots of the Lennox Mansion is actually Castle Hill on Crane Estate in Ipswich, which is also local. And most of the interior is a soundstage in LA, but some of it is at Milton Academy and some of it is at the Wang Center in Boston.
Interesting. Yeah, some really great looking locations on this one. So in this scene, we're going to get not a black horse like described by the women, but a black car coming into town, presumably bringing with it their perfect man, right? So we get a little exposition here between Alex and Suki, where Suki's telling Alex that a strange new single man has moved to town. And she thinks it's weird. They were just discussing such a happening, such an event between the three of them. This is now becoming a recurring theme in this movie. We also get a breadcrumb that something happened in the house that the strange man is moving into. I thought this was really cool. We're going to get these little subplots in this movie that really work nicely. And then 1 second before Clyde and Felicia walk into Suki's office, Alex on the other end of the phone says, "Is that Clyde and Felicia?" So it's obvious now that, mystical powers are afoot between these three women. They've got stuff going on, and it's pretty cool. It's fun. It's very subtle. They're slow burning it. They're letting us into the bathtub, easily. Get used to the temperature, if you will. And when Suki mentions the Lennox Mansion, Felicia freaks out and says, evil is coming. Evil is coming. I love this character, Felicia, and I love this little subplot we get. This thing is going to evolve into, obviously something bigger as the movie plays out. But really good stuff. And then we get this nice little information dump. Really quick, easy to understand, easy to digest. And for me, that's the mark of good storytelling. I mean, how many movies have we done where either they're going to show us everything and the pacing is off and I just can't wait for the next scene because it's just like, I don't need to see all of this. Or like in Magnolia, where the information dumps are just nonsensical. You just can't understand what they're saying. It's just too much. So this is done perfectly. Next at the Yapping Fox, we get the setup of the stranger when Miss Biddle describes him in exactly the way the three women dreamed him up the night before. I thought this was really great. And, the way this old actress is describing him and saying, I haven't felt this way since World War I. I think I actually blush, sir. It's really great. It's really great. And the name escapes her. She can't come up with the name. This is a lot of fun, super mysterious, and it's going to be, we're going to get a call back to this where basically the whole town remembers the name at the same time, almost like he is going to introduce himself like psychopathically, like into their minds. This is who I am.
Telepathically.
As if he's going to telepathically set this into all of their minds.
I like psychopathically better, but hey, whatever.
As if he's going to telepathically introduce himself to the town all at the same time. Great mysterious setup. And finally, at the recital, we're going to get our first look at the stranger. And it's Jack Nicholson. And at this point in the movie, and I want to preface this, at this point in the movie, I wish they had got a better looking actor. And Michael Douglas came to mind. This would have been around the time he did Gordon Gekko for Wall Street. And, this character of Daryl is a little Gordon Gekko, but Jack's fine here. He's charming enough for me. And as the movie plays on and I start to understand who this character Daryl is, Jack Nicholson starts to look more and more like the absolute perfect casting for this. But at this point in the movie, I'm just assuming this is kind of like some billionaire playboy. And I'm like, I kind of want a little more like George Clooney, Robert Redford, Michael Douglas, just a little stronger and hotter of a leading man. But when this thing all plays out, Jack Nicholson, beautiful. So we learn here that he's reached out to all three women since coming to town. So we know he has an agenda for being in Eastwick. And just as everyone remembers his name at the same time, Felicia fulfills her dark prophecy and falls down the stairs, breaking her leg. The script is so tight and so well written. It's like watertight, like a dolphin's asshole. It's fucking perfect. Mikki.
Oh God.
I don't know how I can top that one. I love, so Richard Jenkins, who plays Clyde, he is so perfect for that role because he's such an unassuming, go along, get along dude.
Yeah.
Veronica Cartwright, Felicia, she is so outstanding in this role. Felicia is like every HOA, head of an HOA that you've ever met in your life. Like, if you have ever lived in an HOA, you fucking know Felicia. And she's just such a stuck-up douche. But she just plays it so well. And when she's ever like, who would buy that house? And then she takes the header down the stairs and she's like, oh, Clyde, honey, I think I broke, like, no shit, you broke your leg.
Good.
I mean, your leg is literally turned around. She is so fantastic. She plays this role so well. Even though I hate her character, she's one of my favorite characters. Like, she's so good. Yeah. She's so good.
She's got intense eyes. She was in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the original, and she's so good in that.
Yeah, she's amazing. I love everything about this. And when Jane is, she gets the flowers and she's just shaking because she's really doesn't have a lot of self-esteem. She doesn't have a lot of, Susan Sarandon is beautiful. And I love how she played this character where, her husband left her because she can't have kids. She's feeling extremely self-conscious. She doesn't feel like she has anything to offer. And so to get this amazing bouquet of flowers from this mysterious man with just signs it D, like, she's literally shaking. And just the way they played that whole thing out with the three of them there, so well done, because you're seeing again how close they are, but they still don't know what they're capable of when they're together.
Yes.
And that's what I love.
Yeah. Kind of a little bit like that other witch movie we did with Veruca Salt. What was her name?
The Craft.
The Craft. Kind of similar,
Veruca Balk.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that one.
Don't care how I want it now.
I want it now, Daddy. I want it now.
Tony calls me Veruca sometimes.
Yes, sometimes I have to remind Mikki that she's being a little too big for her britches. We refer to as Veruca. And then she goes to 11 because it's one ladder.
Oh, Nigel, what do you have on this section of the movie?
That's it. I got paid extra for these knobs. Love the film to this point. The John Williams score, he's awesome. I mean, the guy did everything from like Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark. You name a big series, he did the music for it. It fits perfectly. Richard Jenkins, one of my favorites, just totally that guy. And you guys hit on all these. Felicia is wonderful. My only thing with her, Mickey's like, she's an HOA Karen. She's not. She's possessed by the devil, right?
Yes.
She doesn't really get it, but let's be honest. He's got this connection with her because she knows who he is internally.
I actually wonder, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I actually wonder if she's actually possessed more like by like a godly power.
Yes.
And that's why he's, because she's saying,
okay.
I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but she's saying he's using those women. He's using us. He wants to get inside of us. So I don't think that he's there yet, but he's trying. And she's the only one aware of it. Nobody else is.
She's having a struggle between good and evil inside her. She's supposed to be the good entity in this movie, but you can see the devil trying to possess her by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I'll go with that. I hadn't thought of it that way, but absolutely.
My interpretation anyway.
Nicholson, how do we say this correctly? He's not comical, but he's entertaining. You know what I mean? He's not a guy. Yeah, but in the most fucked up way possible.
Yes.
Right? I mean, the first interaction he has with one of these women, he is so blunt and so fucking obnoxious. You just want to hit him in the face. But he does have the ideas of like, I'm going to stick it to you straight. I'm going to tell you how it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat shit. I'm going to give it to you from the hip, hard and fast and whatever. And you'll deal with it, right? And for whatever reason, basically because we suspend belief, they all go, okay, and it's all good. His facial expressions are classic, though, because the guy has such range. I'll give him that. I hate to say those weird composition, but when he is in Peter Fonda and
Easy Rider,
Dennis
Easy
Hopper.
Rider?
Yeah, he's an Easy Rider where he's like, oh, I got a helmet, and he's sitting there chatting with them. That's where I saw this guy. No one would ever typecast him as a drunken Southern lawyer. You know what I mean? But he's perfect there. He's absolutely applicable here in the weirdest way. I mean, I would have much rather gone for a slicker character. If you guys ever saw De Niro play Louis Cypher in Angel Heart,
sure,
he is so much more the devil, but you understand that he's the devil. This guy is weird because he's just sort of this mythical person who shows up out of nowhere, has this extremely tall manservant, and just kind of, floats about here and there. So maybe that's the idea. They don't want you to really know his ulterior motives until it's time to release it. But most of his dialogue is just double entendre and sexual innuendo. But hey, who gives a shit? It does keep you. It does keep you. It keeps you kind of grinning. It's not like chuckling, knee slapping kind of comedy, but it keeps you entertained. It's light. It goes with the music well. The scenes are shot well. I mean, you can't kind of beat it to this point.
You could have gone with De Niro or Al Pacino for this role, 100%.
But this movie is not their wheelhouse because it's sort of comedy.
It is cheeky.
You know what I mean? It's not really a drama. It's not really a comedy. It's a comedrama. You know, I mean, it's a whatever. And I think that's the only chop you give against the movie is that it doesn't really ever tell you what it is. It's just kind of, it's entertainment. You figure it out. We'll figure, a name for it later. But
yeah, as we get through this, I'll start making a case for Jack Nicholson, 100%.
Daryl begins to seduce the women one by one, beginning with the self-assured Alexandra, who at first is appalled by his arrogance and bravado, but then allows him into her heart. He moves on to Jane, who is seen as being very shy and reserved. Jane explains to Daryl that the home he lives in was once said to be an area where people were burned alive after being accused of witchcraft. Daryl then encourages Jane to stop living a life of doubt and learn to enjoy herself. She takes this advice and begins to act and live a little recklessly. The next day, Daryl invites all three women over to the mansion, which allows him to finally turn his attention to Sookie. A jealous rivalry emerges between the women, leading to a supernatural game of tennis where the tennis ball begins to behave oddly, floating and stopping in midair. This shared telekinesis reveals to the women that they have magical abilities. The women decide to forego the competition and share Daryl and have the most fun they've ever had in their entire lives. So I'd like to pause and to discuss the way this movie mirrors reality in some ways and not in others. For instance, if you're talking about witchcraft, 3 is a sacred number. Then they follow the natural order of things. The maiden, the mother, the crone. Suki is your overly fertile maiden. She's got 6 children. Alex is the mother. She's got 1 daughter, and that's it. And then Jane, the crone, who can't conceive. What he says about midwives and medicine women in general being the ones burnt at the stake is not completely wrong. That did happen a lot, especially in Europe, but not always, especially not if you look into what happened in Salem. And I won't go into it because that's a long story and we'll be here all night. But my point is they're taking kernels of reality of witchcraft in the modern day and using it for the story, and it works.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. You know, they don't, like you said, they don't lean too hard on this witchcraft thing. They just let this story breathe, and they let all these characters just do what they need to do. So we get this scene where Alex draws a D into a pile of sugar on her table, and I'm presuming at this point that this is for Daryl. And it's a cool scene because it's got me thinking, does she know she's a witch or not? But at the same time, it feels like something was cut from the movie earlier. Like I feel like there were scenes in this movie that we didn't get to see. Like she feels too familiar with like witchcraft and doing things like this, which you presume she's doing because she's trying to draw him into her life or whatever. Again, had she worked in like this little head shop type thing and you saw like the, you know, like the witch's sugar or whatever, and they gave us a couple of these little Easter eggs in the beginning that says whether she is or she isn't a witch, or she doesn't or doesn't believe in this stuff, she is familiar with it, she's around it, and she's giving it a go, right? Like maybe this goes against who she is, but she's like, fuck it, I sold it at the store. I want this new guy in town to like me. I'll give it a shot. It's never really explained how she even gets the idea to do this. It's not a problem for me. I just had to point it out because I felt like I had missed a scene earlier in the movie that wasn't there. Next, we get to meet Daryl when he invites Alex to lunch. And Daryl is going to describe his perfect woman. And it basically describes Alex, Suki, and Jane like to a T. And the plot is absolutely thickening here. We know this guy is not in town for any other reason, just to get involved with these 3 women. And again, this is good storytelling, unlike that fucking dish rag, The Princess Bride, that you guys were all fucking telling me was the greatest thing ever recorded. So Tony, you were kind of starting to touch on this in that last segment. We get this scene where Daryl tells Alex he enjoys a little pussy after lunch, and he asks her point blank if she wants to fuck. Now, on the surface, this scene and this exposition seems a little trashy and cheap for this movie. I kind of went, what? This is a little out of place here. But the way Jack Nicholson delivers the lines, that's important. And the physical acting and movements that he is doing on the bed are extremely seductive. I think I blushed. Seriously. I was like, oh, sir, are we alone here? I mean, he was fucking...
Well, you're a cheap date, let's be honest.
He was working it on that bed. This is setting him up as a leading man that could capture the undivided attention of these 3 beautiful actresses, where at first I was like, the teams are lopsided. These 3 women are way too hot for Jack Nicholson to roll into town and like, you know, swoon them. But his charm, his confidence, it's like it's starting to grow on me. So Alex verbally tears down Daryl after this advancement, but completely unfazed. He's like, you want to be on top or bottom? He's fucking great. He returns fire by describing her drab life to her to a T and preying on her needs until she is willing to give it up, which she does. This was a great scene that really helped build up Jack Nicholson as the charismatic character of Daryl that I did not see at first. Great character building on this guy in particular. And I said to Dylan, at this point, it's a little obvious that he's the devil. But I think that we're meant to strongly suspect that he's the devil by this point in the movie, and not just like some billionaire playboy. And once we realize that this is the devil, Jack Nicholson is fucking perfect for this role. Had this just been a jet-setting fucking playboy in town to fucking, close ass, but as the devil, I'm in. Next, we get this interesting little subplot with Felicia being what feels like, and we were talking about this earlier, the symbol of good, right? And she recognizes Suki as dangerous. And I'm interested to see where this goes. And that is, again, the mark of a good subplot. This fucking shit is super tight. Next, Daryl visits Jane. And when he pulls out the fiddle, I was hoping it was going to be made of gold. I wanted that fiddle made of gold so bad. But it wasn't. And that was fine. Then we get this fever dream with hot sex and a burning cello. And again, Jack Nicholson is coming off as the most interesting man in the world here. Who could resist this guy? Fucking plays piano, sexy and hard. He plays the fiddle like the devil. He's a therapist. He's fucking.
He is the devil.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. He is the devil, and it's amazing. And finally, we get this tennis game where the story breaks wide open, and we are now cooking with full magic. Then we get this strange scene where Jane and Alex just float out of the scene in the swimming pool, like they're all four of them in this pool, and then all of a sudden, Jane and Alex just on their little rafts just float off stage right, stage left. And Daryl is now suddenly alone with Suki, and it's her turn to get STD from the devil. And then we get this weird four-way dance number leading us into Jack delivering the line, "We don't deal the deck down here, we just play the percentages." He's talking about hell, and now it's confirmed that he is in fact the devil, and I fucking love it. And I can't wait to see where this thing is going to go from here.
I think, you're right. When you first think of, when you're first introduced to him, you're kind of like, really? This guy? And then as he starts to kind of open up and unfold and you see his personality, he's very beguiling. He's very like, oh, maybe he is. You know what I mean? They're like, like, it's not where you look at like Chris Hemsworth and go, damn, he's fine. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
it's earned.
You're like, it's definitely earned. I mean, he's just kind of frumpy and balding and just, and
that weird little ponytail at the back of his head.
I love that little samurai ponytail. It was great.
And he's like kind of crass, but then you're like, there's something very charming about it. And he knows each of them so well already, even though he doesn't know them. And the fact that he can just get them, I think, is appealing to a lot of women. A lot of women really just want someone to understand them.
Yes.
And for him to just do that right off the bat, that's very appealing for them. And he's also, as he's kind of, weaseling his way into their lives individually, he's also, like I said before, showing them what they are capable of when they're together. And it's sky's the limit, basically. He's telling them they can do anything. And that's what I love about this movie. And then, Des, you spoke about Felicia kind of being the good. I don't see her as good, and maybe that's just my perspective of it. I see her as the evil one. I see her as the bad one.
Explain.
Because she is immediately, I understand Liz, she doesn't want the devil in her town, but I see her as immediately.
I like how you glanced right over that. Who wants the devil in their town? Don't worry about that.
No. But what I'm saying is she, and the whole town, like, and we'll get to that eventually, but she really just, it's like a witch hunt for these women. Do you know what I mean?
No pun intended.
Well, they're witches.
Right,
it's a witch hunt.
They're witches.
The other difference is, Mick, if you go with that theory, right, that she is a problem, she's not wrong, right? Nothing she says is baseless. Nothing she says is a lie. She's telling the truth. The difference too is that she puts it together well ahead of the plot and the script,
right,
to say that his goal is to procreate with these women so that basically we're gonna have little devils, if you will.
Right.
And that is the crux of the problem.
This is like fucking Invasion of the Body Snatchers. She's the only one in town that can see the fucking town is being taken over by pods. She's like, are you people all fucking blind?
Right. She's discredited simply because she sounds like a crazy person.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
She's not given the time of day because the way in which she's trying to propagate this information is so crazy.
Right. There's a way to go about that. She could have handled that much better. She
Right.
just went off
But
the
again,
fucking
that's
deep
my
end.
argument in Possession. She's essentially being controlled more by the devil. I like Lynn's idea of a struggle between good and evil, but she acts so radically because,
Right.
What she's saying is got real purpose and base, but it comes out so awkwardly and bizarrely, and people are just like, something's wrong with her. She's crazy.
Mikki, especially owning the newspaper in this tiny little town that all eat together, pray together, go to recitals together. Like, she controls the media in this town. All she has to do is start fucking, doing some propaganda against these people and getting the town on her side. But instead, she's fucking running around town with her underwear on her head.
Well, no, technically she does, because he prints that thing.
Yes,
and
later in
that's
the
what-
movie, after she's already marked herself as a fucking nut job.
Right.
Well,
right.
and even he says it, none of it's a lie. It's just not super specific as to why they're bad. He makes generalizations, and they're not based in lies. They're just not fully fleshed out, which is what the job of a reporter is. So,
And it's kind of that thing, and I don't think we've touched on it yet, but like, the scene where Susan Sarandon is bopping through the supermarket, and the lady behind her is like, slut. It's like, I don't like that shit. You know what I mean? Like that, and that's what I think Felicia, whether she aims to do it or not, it was kind of like the hysteria. She's like starting the hysteria of like the witch trials. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I don't like. That's what I didn't like about it.
See, now, Mikki, if they were just up there smoking crystal meth and having fucking orgies, that's fine. That's your business. It doesn't make you a bad person. That's just what you're into. The
Right.
problem is they're trying to procreate 4 little demons to fucking take over the fucking world.
3.
Whatever. Well, no, including Papa, fucking Father knows best. You
including
got
Papa.
4.
Gotcha.
Yeah, 4.
Gotcha.
Well, you're right, though. 3 little demons.
Well, and that's the best part. We're guessing too, because the nice part about this film is it doesn't quite reveal all of its, motives.
We don't know
You know what I
endgame.
mean?
We don't have the
There
endgame.
there are alliterations to lots of things. Whether or not they come true is a sit and wait and find out kind of proposition,
100%.
which is one of the better parts of the film, because it kind of keeps you mentally involved. Yeah, mentally involved in the screenplay constantly. My only beef is that if we're going with that theory and we're not sure if he's the devil, you see all these women under the concept of female empowerment, especially Cher's character, Alex. She should have left the room, right? She's leaving the room.
Yeah.
He basically uses his demonic ability to get her to come back. Right.
Well,
because he's not that fucking charming. He's not that fucking beguiling. He's crude, rude, and socially fucking unacceptable. And let's be real. She tells him off. She tells him exactly what he is, what he's made of, his presumptuousness. The outfit is so fucking shitty. I don't care. It's 1987, be damned, with those red gay slippers and the goofy fucking robe and the fact that he strips down in front of her basically. And she's like, you can't presume to think I'm going to bed with you. And he's like, oh no, of course you are. And it's like, this is so overwrought. Jesus Christ. And then he basically just, he moves his little hand a little bit and she's all of a sudden, she's diving on him.
Yeah, these are not the droids you're looking for.
No, these are not the droids we're looking for, right? and it's with all those women under the idea of empowerment with Sarandon's character. If you just open up and you play with more ferocity, and what a crock of shit. Okay?
Oh, he's manipulative to the T for 100%.
Yes, but let's be real. That doesn't make women that hot that all of a sudden their clothes fall off. You know what I mean? It's not tequila. It doesn't work like that. But, it's necessary in the context of the film. I just kind of let it roll. I know Des is a Nicholson guy. For me, there would have been so much more about it. The screenwriting could have done, if you're going to be sly, be sly. If you want to be abrasive, then, you got it. Because he's not sly at all. There's nothing savvy about this guy. He's fucking sandpaper. And we're getting away with that, right? We're going to go, okay, I guess it's believable. But
I felt like it was.
All good.
I felt like it was believable. I thought they did enough of a point of showing that these were like almost three spindristers at this time. They spend one night a week drinking martinis and just fantasizing about some guy rolling into town and showing interest in them. These women haven't been laid in fucking eons. And this guy rolls into town. He's a billionaire. He's got her in this fucking all marble room. And he just says to her, do you want to fucking party or not? We've been drinking. Do you want to get laid or do you want to go home to your fucking cucumber and your fucking daughter and fucking cry yourself to sleep again? And you know what she said? Fuck it. Do me. Fucking do me. You're right. This sucks. Do me. There's a guy within 100 miles of here, and I don't want to go home to another fucking piece of produce and a cold shower. Let's fucking do this thing. So I kind of
unless you like Walter.
Unless you what?
Like Walter.
Oh, there you go.
Oh shit.
The women's frequent presence at Daryl's mansion leads to gossip and rumors spread by Felicia. Alex, Sookie, and Jane become outcasts of the city. The women of Eastwick acknowledge the trio with nasty looks and snotty comments. The witches begin to have second thoughts on whether or not they should continue to see each other, which then motivates Daryl into causing the girls to unknowingly cast a spell on Felicia, causing her to projectile vomit cherry pits. Felicia is finally killed by her husband, who beats her with a fire poker after being horrified when he sees his wife so incredibly ill. Terrified after Felicia's death, the three women begin to argue and the ground heaves up beneath their feet. They run from one another and they agree amongst each other to never see Daryl or each other for a long period of time. This, of course, upsets Daryl, causing him to use his powers against the girls, bringing their worst fears to life. Alex awakens into a bed of snakes, Jane begins to lose her youth, and Sookie is forced to feel intense pain. With Sookie in the hospital hemorrhaging and inconsolable, Alex returns to Daryl to make peace with him so Sookie will not die. So one thing I couldn't understand about this movie, and I never really have, is why Sookie got it the worst. Like, she has cold sores on her mouth and she's almost dead. Like, I don't know.
Obvious. She was fucking the third one. She got the STD. I told you. He'd already fucked the whole town. He already banged everyone in town.
I hate to tell you guys, unfortunately, that was just a naturally occurring cold sore that they kept in the movie.
I don't think so.
She got sloppy thirds.
Okay. So she got it far worse than the other two. And I'm wondering if this is him using the mother and the crone archetype to protect the maiden, right? So I'm not sure if that was the whole thing, but there's also the scene where Sookie falls ill and there's a cutout of a clown that looks very much like the Joker right behind her. So to me, I was like, whoo, that gave me a little jolt of the Joker. And great practical effects. The cherry pit vomit is fucking amazing.
Yes.
Rob Bottin, who is a very famous practical effects man, did this movie and really effective, really well done.
Even the way they let Richard Jenkins take care of Felicia, you're not exactly sure. You get the idea that he's done the deed, but it's the kind of thing where you see him with the poker in his hand and he doesn't even so much as raise it. You know what I mean? But it's almost to the point where he just snaps and he has to do what he has to do. So, I like the way they did that to the point of, we're not going to glorify the gore aspect or the I had no choice or whatever, even to the idea that we see the police and the ambulance, but we're not going to drag this guy out in handcuffs. It's unnecessary to the plot. We get what's going to happen in our minds.
Yeah.
So they let the viewer kind of just fill in blanks on your own.
Tony, I totally agree with you on this, and I'm glad that you pointed it out, because my first note is we get the scene in the church where Felicia goes nuts, and again, I want to know why she's going nuts. I want to know what's going on with this character. I want to understand the subplot more. I want it to be expanded on, right? Because it's getting pretty late in the movie now, and we're still not sure why this is affecting just her, right? Like, it's not explained. And again, it almost feels like there's a scene missing that should have been earlier in the movie where we understand why it is affecting this one woman in town. It's never explained. It just never is. There's no twist. There's no aha moment. And in fact, what we get is we get this weird little scene where we can see that the actions of the women in Daryl are affecting her at her mansion with her husband. It's not really explained. And then the husband is just going to murder her. And it comes out of left field. And then this whole subplot is just gone. They just sweep it under the carpet. And like you said, there's no like police arrest. There's no like, we're not going to hear a detective explain what happened. We're not going to see the murder. It is just like, we are done with Felicia. That character's done. This subplot is over. Just move on. I'm not going to call it a hole in the movie because it was entertaining, but it was anorexically written out of the movie, which was a little odd to me. Next, we see Jane in town, and she is looking and acting like Madonna in Desperately Seeking Susan. She's like sucking on pickles and like licking, like she's just being weird in this fucking convenience store. She's dressed weird. She's acting weird. She's acting trashy. She just is. So when the girl says slut, is it nice? No, it's not nice. But you're acting like a fucking trash bag in public. Like you don't need to be acting like that. If you don't want to put attention on yourself, you don't want to be called a trash bag, then don't fucking act like one. And then we learn that Felicia is actually the owner of the newspaper, and she is directing Clyde to smear Daryl and the woman. And at this point in the movie, you're going to have to go along with me on this. This movie is starting to feel a little bit like the Rocky Horror Picture Show to me, but in a good way. We've got Daryl, the devil, Frankenfooter. This is Frankenfooter. We have Jane. Janet. This is Janet, actually played by the same actress.
Yeah,
right?
It is Janet.
We have Clyde. Clyde is Brad. He's got the glasses. This is fucking Brad. We get the ultra weird butler. Dude, very similar. We get the giant sex mansion, right? We get the bizarre musical numbers with the balloons and the craziness and these over-sexualized fucking concepts. It is so fun. It was giving me Rocky Horror vibes without being Rocky Horror. It was also giving me Clue vibes. I was saying to Delyn, this thing could fit into a trilogy with those fucking two movies. Really had that essence.
3 movies I love, so it's on brand.
Yeah, all it was missing was some like slapstick fucking exposition, and we would have been right there. Then Felicia starts giving us insight into Daryl's plan before he is presumably possessed and kills her, right? She's trying to explain her part in the movie, and I kind of still didn't get it even after it was all done. I guess she's just there to tell us that fucking Daryl wants to impregnate these 3 women to have 3 demon seed. I feel like it was a lot of work to get there. And then he's like, all right, well, you delivered your line. Fucking, you kill her. All right. We don't know why he killed her. Was he possessed? We don't know. Did he go to jail? We don't know. Like, none of it is explained. It's just like, that's the end of that. And it's fine. Next, we get this scene where the women have an argument in the center of town and the ground fractures between them, right? This symbolizes the band temporarily breaking up. We're going to get a crack between each one of the women. It's pretty cool. Heavy symbolism here. Next, we learn that Jane is pregnant, but when she goes to tell Daryl, we get another sequence that feels like a fever dream. It's got snakes. It's got dehydrating fruit. It's got dehydrating women. And it's got Daryl remotely eating fucking Suki's uterus, sending her to the hospital. There are a lot of sequences in this dream that feel like they're out of that movie, like the Twilight Zone movie from the 80s or Beetlejuice, right? Like there's some Beetlejuice optics in this fucking movie, like when he turns into the snake. It's a really interesting movie that really stretches its legs out and goes in a lot of different directions.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I love when they are, it's funny because there's, obviously for me, there was a little bit of foreshadowing when he was filming them all floating in the pool laying there talking, and they were like
signing their contracts with the devil.
Yeah, she's like, I don't know why there has to be
Exactly.
so much pain. Why is there so much pain? And obviously he uses that against them later on. The scene where he calls Alex and he's like, I miss you. And she's like, I can't see you anymore. And he gets so angry. And I think that shows you how childlike he can be.
Yeah.
And how he's not used to not getting his way. Very, very, very childlike there. And then, he goes to see Jane and she's not there. And, Suki, and she's like, I can't invite you in. And he's like, what the fuck? Like, you can tell he's not happy with these girls. And when they are arguing in the town square, and again, I think that's a cool scene because it shows the power that they have when the three of them together and what they can do, whether it be, good or bad. Like, shit's happening because, they're fighting and it's just like, what the fuck? The ground opens up and it's crazy. And then whenever Felicia starts, vomiting the fucking cherry, that was I think when people think of Witches of Eastwick, that's one of the scenes they think of is the cherry pit scene.
Sure. It's really graphic. Yeah.
And I love it because you can also see like the toll that her mania has taken on Clyde.
Yeah.
No comments from you, Anthony. I just, Richard Jenkins is such a good actor because you can just see it in his face. He's just like, I don't know what the fuck to do with this chick anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like he obviously loves his wife and he wants to help her, but I think he just realizes she is so fucking beyond any help that I can provide, that anybody can provide her.
I'll just bash her fucking head in with this.
Yeah, I think
fire tool.
Unfortunately, right. It's to the idea that now you question whether the possession is in him. And it's the idea that he's going to end her because that's convenient.
No, I didn't think of that.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't think of that, honey.
You made a nice point, Mick. You definitely see him change. He's usually a go along, get along guy. He's having his scotch, he's reading his book, and then all of a sudden, she won't stop. I'll put it this way: if a cherry stem and a stone came out of my mouth, I would be leaving the area and seeking medical attention. But she just keeps going, right? And she's going to give it to him. It's Clyde this, Clyde that, Clyde the other. And he's just like, that's it. I've gone. I've snapped. And then he does his business. And what does he do? He sits back down, gets his book, grabs his drink, like, la, la, la. Okay, that's over. Moving right along.
Like nothing happened. Yeah.
Well, and something did happen, but to Clyde, fuck it, I'll deal with it later.
If you start having like a manic episode and maybe some like, I don't know, menopause or something, would you prefer that we get you some Xanax in therapy, or would you like me to just bash your fucking head in with a frying pan? Just let me know. I mean, either way.
I'll take the Xanax.
The Xanax, right? Okay, just checking.
We just call that Tuesday at my house.
Because Tony was like, well, she was being a little bit of a bitch. So, I mean, I can see where Clyde might want to pick up a fire fucking poker and fucking cave her head in.
Sometimes you just got to do what you just got to do.
Tony's like justifying it for me. He's like, well, I mean, did you see how she was acting?
I believe the term is just empathy, Des. Not quite justification, but I'm with you.
I have to tell you guys that honestly, one of the top phrases in this house out of my husband's mouth is, why do I tolerate your mania? Like, I think at least once a day I hear that. So that's why I was laughing.
So are we removing all the fire pokers from your house then?
No, my wife won't allow me to have weapons. Yeah, right.
If Mikki and I lived together, whatever town we lived in would be burnt to the ground, and it'd just be the two of us standing there laughing like the Joker. Like, I don't know what happened. Me neither. Mikki, you were talking about the him recording all of them for that big scene on the TV screens. And that is them signing their souls away to the devil. He says, you ask each one what their fear is. And, when finally Suki says, the pain, and he says, well, there is no pain down here. That's it. He's taken all of their fucking woes away, replaced it with, with these, instant gratifications. And that's it. They belong to him now. So, but never explained, like Tony said, everything is left to interpretation. everything in this whole movie, you can kind of see it 1,000 different ways. They give you just enough of a structure to go with.
That's what I love about it.
Yeah, me too.
Realizing that the only way to rid Daryl from their lives is by using witchcraft against him, the girls trick Daryl into going into town for a while as they attempt a banishing spell to make him go away forever. Sookie goes to Daryl's office and takes a spell book he kept locked in a glass chest. Jane gathers some of his personal belongings, including hair, clothing, and pictures of him. Alex creates a voodoo doll out of wax that resembles Daryl. Meanwhile, as Daryl is in town shopping for the girls, he begins to feel painful, sharp aches in his body from the girls sticking pins and needles into the doll. They throw feathers on him, and Daryl coughs up feathers and finds himself engulfed in them in the middle of Eastwick's town square. He attempts to hide in the church during Sunday services, but amid his bellowing complaint about the women, begins to vomit cherry pits all over the place. Infuriated, Daryl drives home, his devil side more apparent than ever. He growls and chases the women around the house. Finally, they throw the wax doll into the flames, and Daryl melts into a small, misshapen being before disappearing from existence. 18 months later, Alex, Jane, and Sookie are now the mothers of Daryl's son. They still have their magic powers, and they now live together in Daryl's mansion. Daryl is not far, though. He beckons to his sons through the TV, but their mothers are not having it. They turn off the television on him, ending our movie. I question the wisdom of having not one or two, but 3 children fathered by the devil. I hope that these ladies are planning to be very hands-on parents, because holy shit. This ending leaves the door open for a sequel, and we never fucking got it. There should have been a sequel 18 years after, but we didn't get it.
Yeah, so this is the final act. And, you're talking about the magic spell they're going to do with the voodoo doll and all this stuff. And again, they keep introducing into this movie that these are witches and they understand this stuff. Like this, I would have to presume to kill the devil himself. Probably be a high level spell, not like one of your introductory level spells. This would be.
Well, they say that Jane says, "Is this going to hurt him?" And Alex says, "No, it's not going to hurt him. It's just going to send him away."
Yeah, but my point is,
I'm not trying to kill the devil.
My point is, for these 3 rookie witches, they're fucking, I don't know. I just would, again,
you got to
just a complicated spell with a fucking voodoo doll.
It's not that
Give me
complicated.
a break. It's not that complicated.
Yeah, nothing personal, Des, but nothing in this film is very complicated.
All right. So
it's pretty simple.
These 3 fucking ladies that know nothing about witchcraft are fucking, there's a scene missing in the beginning of this movie. That's all I'm going to say.
No, I agree with you. I think that there are definitely some edits that had to make the movie more streamlined, and it does contain information that would really be nice to know as the viewer. Yes. However, I don't think that they're going to flesh out enough of what you need to kind of go with. And I think the way it was edited, it's smooth enough to get you from point A to point B without having head scratching moments.
But Tony, instead of her owning a fucking little store where she makes ceramic Buddhas, why can't it just be a fucking store where they sell tarot cards and fucking oil?
Des, focus, bro. Okay, he doesn't want to give you the themes that they are into witchcraft. Okay?
They have to. They're witches.
Okay.
Hold on, her sister was a witch, right? And what was her sister? A princess! The Wicked Witch of the East, bro!
Stop. They're not witches. They don't sit around a cauldron and put Eye of Newt.
Called the Witches of Eastwick.
They do not know that they're witches. They don't know until he comes into their lives, and then they realize, wow, look at all the power we have when we're together. That's when they took his little...
They should have just held hands in a little circle and wished him into the cornfield like Anthony in the fucking Twilight Zone. Instead
Children of the Corn?
Yeah, yes. Instead of fucking putting together these elaborate fucking spells that they know nothing about. It should have been called the Women of Eastwick. The Women of Eastwick. There it is.
Okay, that's a good one. By the way, they did do a sequel. Updike writes a book in 2008 called The Widows of Eastwick when they're supposedly in their 70s.
That's good.
And it talks about...
You can tell my husband's used to dealing with me when Des loses his shit. He's like, it's okay. That's a good one.
Let's refocus, darling. Okay. Let's come over here and think about things that are more passive and pastoral way. Oh, I have to use calming tones. Yes.
So in this final act, we're going to see the miracle of healing through rape. When Daryl basically tells Alex he will heal Sookie if she submits to him. And he does. She fucking says, okay. And he bangs her, even though she's disgusted by him. Then we get another fever dream, like this weird Rocky horror menage a trois 4-way sex scene, complete with like lace negligee. Like I said, this movie goes from fucking one end of the court to the other end of the court in like 2 seconds. It's insane. We go from this little New England town movie to literally a scene where everyone's dressed in negligee and there's like clowns pouring out of a fucking VW bug. It's fucking, it's insane. Daryl's going to leave the mansion, gives the women, you know, an opportunity to jump into action, to execute their final plan, to you know, exorcise him from their lives. And let's talk about the plan. They're going to cast a spell, complete with a voodoo doll with a little boner. Interesting. Not sure where they got the spell from. Were they just flipping through the Witch's Hand Guide and said,
it came through the book.
His book.
how to exorcise the devil?
book.
I mean, I
It's a
know there's a
gigantic
fucking
book.
book. How they know what chapter to go? Like, dude. All right. So they're going to cast
Well,
the
see,
spell.
books are written in English and you read them. So you
I
how
know,
to do
but it's
You
things.
haven't
like-
read a book in fucking 25
I know,
years.
but it's like, this is like trying to fucking perform like a fucking, a tracheotomy with a fucking, with the handbook in
I
your
can
kitchen.
assure you that witchcraft is beginner level most of the time. You do not have to have a fucking doctorate in
Right.
order to fucking do a spell. That's not
All
how
right.
it works.
All right. I just wish they weren't rookies. But great scene. Great scene. This whole thing is going to play out in town. The fucking feathers, devil stumbling into church. It's all that scene was fucking one of my favorites. You know, Daryl driving, getting ripped through the back window because the dog is biting the voodoo doll. I mean, dude, they are all over the place with this. Not just witchcraft. We got voodoo. We got fucking voodoo dolls.
Yeah, that's just another name for witchcraft, bro. It's a different culture, but it's the same thing.
Daryl is ultimately going to turn into the zombie corpse of Jack Torrance, right? It's the end of this fucking thing. He returns home for the final showdown. Wendy! He's fucking he's a zombie monster fucking Daryl. That ends with Daryl being turned into, are you ready for this? The Great Gazoo.
Elementary, my dear dum-dum.
The last little picture of him when he's the tiny little floating. It's the fucking great. It's the Great Gazoo. It's the Great Gazoo. Then the women raised the 3 demon spawns with the devil's servant in the Palace of Darkness. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? We're gonna move. Should we move away from Eastwick? No, stay in the fucking mansion. And you're hired. You are going to be our nanny. I know you are the right hand of Beelzebub, but you are the new nanny, and we're staying here. And you 3 little devil spawns are going to grow up to fucking lead the fucking world into the flaming pits of hell.
Yeah, the apocalypse, right?
Yeah. The what? I love it. Normally this is where I'm shitting on. I don't care. I love it. Fuck, this guy had the fucking balls to write this. I will absorb it.
One of my favorite scenes in this whole movie is when he is in the church, when he gets blown into the church and he does that whole speech about what does any man want? A little affection. You know, when we make mistakes, they call it evil. And when God makes mistakes, they call it nature. You know? Yeah. Nature.
Truer words have never been spoken.
So, a mistake? Or did he do it to us on purpose?
So good.
Such a great scene. That's one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson is fully Jack Nicholson in there.
Yes, yes. And when he's in the fucking ice cream shop and they get his hand and he shoves it through the glass into the thing of ice cream. I mean, it's just golden. And then he's like, fuck this. And he realizes like what's happening. And he takes the car and poor Fidel's carrying all the shit out of the store. And he takes off and he's like going home. And then you just see like them tossing him and him just flailing all around. And their faces when they're like, okay, just in case. And they start cleaning up. I fucking love that. It's so, because they don't know. They don't know the power they have. They don't know if it's going to work. it sort of worked, but they didn't really finish the job.
I do like
You know what I
that,
mean?
Mikki, though. You're right, because they are rookies, so they don't know if they did the spell right.
Right.
And they took
Okay.
the pins out, and as soon as the pins come out of him, he's on his way back because he knows what they're up
Exactly.
All right, I'm coming
That's why
around.
you put his ass in a fucking jar and put him in the freezer. Anyway, you
to. Tricks of the trade. Shh, shh.
I know.
Flush him down the
Sorry.
toilet.
I love everything about that whole scene. And then, when they're pretending to read and then he comes, limping in the house growling and they're like, oh my fucking God, what did we do? You can see the fear. And then I love when they bring in the laugh, Jane, laugh when she's falling. Like they remember, like, we can do this. We're together. We can do this. We can do anything when we're together. I fucking love that. It's like girl power. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love the whole thing. And then, yes, of course, the end when, when he's going calling the boys into the room and he's like, okay, shh,
Yes.
and they're like, that was so ingenious. And I love that they just turned the TV off. And like Dylan said, they did leave it open, but we never got one. And I'm kind of glad in a way. Like, I like the idea of having a sequel, but I'm also kind of like, I like how it was just left to your imagination on what exactly, like, is that his only way that he can communicate with his kids? And do they always have to keep shutting the TV out? Because they look like they've done it before. They were kind of like smiling. You know what I mean? I love everything about that ending.
Well, I'm going to give you the sequel in my alternate ending. Tony, the end of the movie. Talk about it.
I think the whole film is basically just a comparison to a bad relationship. It is a rape scene, as you mentioned, because none of these women are really giving it up purposefully. I think they're being induced. Number one, they've all had some kind of bad relationship, and this is just another one. Because let's be real, they kind of conjure him up as the man of their dreams, and he turns out to be anything but.
Yep.
And then it's only through female empowerment, and in this case, not individuals, but the three of them together, that they're finally able to be rid of him, if you will. And even though they've gotten rid of him, as Des so eloquently put it, why would you move into his place and take over stuff? It's like, you're just asking for it. You know what I mean? You're just, it's completely unsound, right? I know it's posed as a happy ending, but it's got to be some of the dumbest fucking
I
logic
really
I've
like
ever seen.
Alex's place on the water there.
I know.
Yeah, they all have wonderful, cute, quaint homes with little white picket fences.
Yeah.
Pick anybody. I don't care. Live in an old fucking shoe, for Christ's sakes, like Mother Hubbard. But Jesus Christ, don't move into that spot. I mean, yeah, they told you it was bad news from the giddy up when they said, oh, witches were killed here in the 1650s or whatever the fuck it is. And it's like, come on, guys.
Tony, he calls it hell, though. Is it possible that they're trapped there because they sold their souls to the devil?
Sure.
That's
I'll go
fun.
with that.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I'll go with that. My only difference is that's right. Watch what you wish for, bitches. You might just get it.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that this is one of the huge things.
This is a goof you made, and now you paying the bill.
Yeah. Always be careful of what you wish for because you might get it and it might not be what you really thought it was going to be. And also there's a price to pay. So you get what you want, but you have a price to pay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, now you're raising the devil spawn. Fun. Wow.
But they're fondly raising the devil spawn. Like,
I'll
they're
pass on.
excited.
Well, that's because they're only, 13 months old. They're cute as hell now. Wait until they get to be 13 years old and they want to fucking run the show. That's right.
Oh, man.
Oh, anyway, by the way, shame on all three of you guys because Jack Nicholson's hairstyle in this movie is just fucking sad. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a fucking.
I thought it was fun.
It's a short, long with a half-assed ponytail. If he was in a Canadian trailer park, he would fit in. That's about it.
Oh, I thought it was fun.
Okay. Only
Which
because
goes to show you like how much charisma he had because his clothing and his hairstyle was fucking ridiculous.
Okay, but still, it's not a good juxtaposition in my mind. Slick it back or do something, but Jesus, I don't know. He just looks weak.
Like Gordon Gekko.
Yeah, because Gordon Gekko has panache and class.
Yes.
And, none of these things does Daryl have.
No.
By the way, just to throw one at you, because they spell it Daryl, Daryl. Daryl Hannah actually turned down the role of one of the witches because she said it was an unethical movie. I'm not sure what that means.
Wow.
Especially because I don't know if Daryl Hannah was a Bible thumping, Christian or anything, but. And then I also love the fact that Bill Murray originally was cast as Daryl and he dropped out.
Really?
Due to some other, and I think that would have probably been different. I won't say better because I don't want to knock Nicholson that hard, but I could see it as a comedy with Bill Murray
funny.
kind of being the guy driving the train,
That pitted face though, that bad acne scarring. No, these women were like, nope, we're not doing that.
But you know what? That means that essentially this is possession, right? It's a demonic deal. Yeah, fucking signed on the dotted line in blood. Now you got to pay the bill. So I love that kind of, full circle mentality that Dylan brought up because of the idea that, you wanted the benefits. Now you got to pay the costs. Yep. So tough shit. Too bad. This is how it goes.
Yeah.
You wanted action. We gave you action. Now you gotta deal with the consequences. So
I thought that Clyde was Felicia's husband, right?
Correct.
Yes. Yeah. Clyde was the father in Step Brothers, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. Good.
And where he's great as well because he's got that down.
All right. Let's head over to the recasting couch. I will get us started. I'm going to replace Susan Sarandon with Sigourney Weaver, and I have reasons for doing this. Lynn, what do you got?
Okay, so instead of recasting the current movie, I recasted with a modern day recast. So I will put in Sophie Turner as Jane, Margot Robbie as Sookie, Anne Hathaway as Alex, and for Daryl, I'll go with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Now, we should have put in Snooki for
nice.
Sookie.
No.
Mikki,
pass on the Snooki, thanks.
Actually, I agree with Dylan. I had kind of a modern day, so I did Margot Robbie as Sookie. I did Rachel McAdams as Alex.
Okay.
I did, and this is kind of a stretch, but I think she could pull it off, Florence Pugh as Jane.
Okay.
Oh yeah, big Florence Pugh fan.
Tony's going to make fun of me, but hear me out. If you really think about it, I think Gerard Butler could do a good Daryl Van Horn.
You think Gerard Butler could walk on fucking water, but anyway.
At least I didn't say Tom Hardy.
Tony.
I could see Tom Hardy doing this film because he's such a goof and an oddball and he does a lot of different characters, but
I think Jerry could do a good job.
Okay, dear. Well, you go with
or
that.
Even
you just have weird sexual fantasies with Gerard Butler, so it's okay.
And
she says
Speaking of sexual fantasies, let me just interject really quickly. We were watching Miami Vice today, and who pops up? Frank Stallone.
Nice.
That's right. Frank Stallone was on Miami Vice. It was fucking great. I was like,
he gets so excited. He's like, Frank Stallone.
There he is.
Oh, the mug.
Frank Gooch.
Frank,
how you doing?
I don't make a move without fucking Frank Stallone. Seriously.
Nice.
Wait, I had one more. If you guys don't agree with Jerry Butler, this is a wicked stretch, but I think he would do good. Cillian Murphy.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Sure.
I love Cillian Murphy. I love him in everything. He's just such a weird actor, man.
Did you see Peaky Blinders? Did you watch it yet?
I haven't watched the movie, but I've seen the show.
Yeah, I haven't watched all of it, but I've watched a bunch of it and it's really good.
I love it, but I know that Arthur's not in the movie, so I'm a little...
Oh, gotcha.
You know the best part, dear? I love you because your taste in men is so divergent. You went from Jerry Butler, like the archetypal, big, tough, rough and tumble guy, to Arthur Shelby. That guy is not kind of big, rough and tumble. He's odd and angular and weird. And
odd and angular. Odd and angular.
He's just an odd fucking duck. I mean, if you're going to go after anybody in the Shelby family, it's Tommy, right? He's cool. He's kick-ass. He knows his fucking stuff. He's always thinking 3 moves ahead. He's
but
the
Arthur's
guy.
the underdog.
Well, I don't know about that, but okay. I'll just go with it.
Who's your recast?
All right, my recast, I stayed in 1987, although I like the lady's choice of the modern day. I needed a real ass kicker and a name taker, and I thought of Less Than Zero and Rip, who was played by James Spader, who's a great evil character. came to mind because I think he could be definitely the sultry kind of guy who does woo these women into their fate.
I like it.
Everybody else I thought was excellent. So even Cher, who by the way got panned badly by both George Miller, the director, and by Nicholson, who of course steps in it and says, she's too old and she's not that hot. I'm like, you know what, dude? If you have nothing nice to say about the cast members you work with, shut the fuck up.
Wow.
Yeah. Apparently him and George Miller both got in trouble on this film.
Oh.
And the weird part too is I'll say George Miller does a lot of the most bizarre films ever. He started the Mad Max trilogy.
Oh, really?
So he did Mad Max, he did Fury Road, and he did Furiosa.
Wow.
Nice. And I'm like, so this guy's an action movie guy? Then he did what was that little pig movie? God, it's called Babe, Pig in the City.
Yeah.
He did that, and he did Happy Feet and Happy Feet 2.
Wow.
So weird.
I'm like, those are like kids movies.
Yeah, they are.
Where is this guy coming from?
That's
To
weird.
go
It's very
from-
bizarre when I learned a little bit about him, but he's a very odd duck, and you kind of see it in this movie because
I love Cher, but one, my cousin did get a chance to meet her on the thing and said that she was kind of snotty and kind of short. And
Right.
She also showed up to this movie. She was cast as Jane, and she said, I don't want to play Jane. I want to play Alex. And so she showed up
Right.
there and said, I'm only prepared to play Alex. So Susan Sarandon had to quick
They moved
learn all of Jane's lines
Oh,
because
wow.
she thought she was going to be playing Alex. So she came prepared to play Alex.
Honey, she
Oh.
was kind of snooty because she didn't want to fucking hobnob with every fucking dickwad from fucking Cohasset. It was like, hey, Cher, let's talk for an hour. She's like, look, kid, I ain't talking to every fucking dick in this town for an hour. I'm Cher. Here's an autograph. Go fuck off with yourself now. Give Cher a break here, okay? I'm sure it was a lot.
I'm just saying what was reported to me.
Yeah, like I said.
right. And let's be honest, 99.9% of the people in Hollywood are probably the exact same
Yeah,
way.
probably.
When you get that little snapshot of 70 seconds with them, they don't ever come off as open and wonderful.
Someone told me, and I forget what movie it was, that Sandra Bullock was in town for some reason. What movie did she film? Anyway, and
She's
they
only been in
said
like
that
40 movies, kid.
No, I mean in New England. She was in like somebody bumped into her at the fucking Denny's in Danvers before Denny's closed, and they said that she was a total fucking bitch. I'm like, if you were Sandra Bullock and were forced to eat at fucking Denny's, I'd be a bitch too.
Again, you're at Denny's and Danvers. Hey, aren't you fucking Sandra Bullock? Hey, can I get you?
Right?
You want to sit down and have a fucking three-way with? Get the fuck
How
away
about
from
a
me.
selfie? Yeah, right.
Here's a fucking autograph. Now go fuck off with you. I don't blame any of these
Exactly.
people. Fucking want to deal with the
I
public.
don't either.
Public is dog shit. You hear that? You dog shit.
That's right.
Let's do some alternate endings on this one.
As if we'd end the movie like that. Yeah.
Let's do the Scooby-Doo ending.
Good call.
So you'll remember that I replaced Jane with Sigourney Weaver, who starred in Ghostbusters 1 and 2. Just going to front load it with that. So Jane, now played by Sigourney Weaver, moves to New York City with her baby to escape what happened in Eastwick. But Daryl comes back as Vigo, the Carpathian, to possess and steal the body of Jane's baby so he can walk the earth again in human form. But his plan is foiled by the Ghostbusters. The end.
Oscar.
Yeah, exactly. Oscar. That's his name. Little Oscar. Delyn, you got anything?
I do. So my alternate ending is really more of a sequel. I feel like this movie deserved it, so I'm going to write it. It is now 40 years later. The three sons of Daryl have grown and, heeding their mother's strong advice, have refused all attempts at connection with their father. However, they have all married and now have 3 daughters. The 3 granddaughters of the original Witches of Eastwick attend a boarding school together and decide they want to know more about their heritage, since their fathers and grandmothers refuse to explain it to them at all. They summon Daryl, their grandfather, and he attempts to use their powers for his own gain. Realizing their mistake, they attempt to kill him, as the ancient book they found says only those with Daryl's blood can do the deed. But alone, they are not strong enough, especially since Daryl has been siphoning off their power. Alex, Jane, and Sookie arrive, and all 6 of them, once and for all, kill Daryl Van Horn. The end.
I like it.
Nice.
I like it.
Yes.
I like it.
I like it.
I think Delynn got her screenwriting credits on this one. Yeah, girl.
I'm going to vote for myself on that.
Of course
you are.
Of course you would.
And the Oscar goes to me. Let's do some final thoughts and some rewatch scores on this one. I'll get us started. So The Witches of Eastwick, never seen it before, probably will never watch it again. But it is a very good movie. It's very well written. Great characters, great character arcs, fun ending, really, really weird. It's all over the place. Great acting. I'm going to give it 3.82. 3.82. Great movie. Delynn, what was your score?
I love it. I can't deny it. I'm going to give it a 4.75.
Tony,
damn, girl. All right.
Tony, how did you see this one?
Not as high as you all did.
Yeah, go a little lower.
Go a little lower. I think it was a film that
I went too high.
I think it was a film that's kind of lost its way. It wasn't sure what it was or what it is. It is entertaining. I'll give it credit. But I don't know. It's a comedy. It's a drama. It's an action movie. What the hell is it? Is it a movie about female empowerment? Is it a movie?
It's a dramedy.
A dramedy. Okay, I'll go with that. My thing too is that inside the dramedy genre, if there's one exists, this is just a bad romance. It's gaga. Okay. Anyway, these girls get what they asked for. It doesn't turn out the way they wanted. Now they're paying the bill. Fucking sucks to be them. It's a 2.5.
Okay, I went too high. I went too high, but Tony went too low. So I think the two scores are going to average themselves out. Because I think I should have come in somewhere closer to maybe 2.
If you go with the idea that on a 5, a 2.5 is halfway.
Yeah,
it's not
average.
A shitty movie, but it's not an awesome movie. So it's in the middle.
It's average.
Yeah.
And I think it was a little above average. So I think our scores, I think it's perfect. I think the
little balance, a little counterweight. I like it.
I think it's going to work. Mikki.
I of course love this movie. It's in my top 10 of all time. I love everything about it. It holds a lot of fun memories for me, a lot of nostalgia. Plus I like the cast. I think it was fun, well done, interesting, quirky. And I've never seen anything else like it. So I am going to give it a 4.75 as well.
Wow.
Right. Yeah.
By the way, Mick, you just described yourself. So nice job.
Aw, thanks, honey.
You're welcome, dear.
This feels like a 3.2. Delynn, go.
So it's going to come out to 3.955, which puts it at number 53. It is right below Alien. So there it goes.
Weird.
Yep. And right above Talk Radio and The Strangers.
Oh, Talk Radio was a perfect movie. That should have been a 5.
No.
Oof.
No.
What? Tony, you ever seen Talk Radio?
Yes, of course.
It's not a fucking 5.
It's not a 5 movie. I'm sorry, bro.
Fucking awesome, though.
I love you dearly, but it's not Neighbors or anything, so it's okay.
It's a fucking great. It's a great flick. All right. So that's it. There you go. On our sister podcast, Violent Vinyl Radio, we will be breaking down Faster Pussycat's 3rd studio album, Whipped. So there you go. And on this show, like I said, we will be going on to Friday the 13th, part 2. And we may do 8 in a row. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
We're not doing 8 in a row.
We'll see what
Lynn's
happens.
putting her foot down. Look out, baby.
I'm saying we could possibly do 3 in a row because that gets us to the mask, but I don't think we're doing 8.
No, I'm looking forward to do the ones where he's fighting fucking rap guys on roofs and going to space. Put it this way. The listeners, the listeners are going to decide this. If the next episode gets as many views as the last one, then we're doing part 3. It's just that simple.
Fair enough.
Okay, everybody, until next time, I just have one question for you. Hey, did you ever see that movie? We'll see you next time.